Good afternoon, everyone. Hiya, Headstock. Welcome. Lovely to see you all, and welcome to, this is quite an impromptu chat between two old friends. Welcome to weekend of World Mental Health Awareness Weekend, basically. My name's Brandon Block. I'm a DJ. Have been for many years. Been very fortunate to have still been able to do it up to that. Well, up to 6 months ago, I should say. So I've been on a crusade, I suppose, with my own mental health and been helping people to realise about their own for many years and run a few things. And my very good friend who's joined me today needs no introduction, but he'll do it himself. It's Fat Tony.
Hi, thanks, Brandon. Yeah, I'm DJ Fat Tony. Hi, welcome to Headstock. Yeah, this was kind of thrown on us a little while ago because I don't read my emails due to my own kind of mental health, where I kind of get someone else to do it for me these days, and it's kind of never works out right instead of me just looking at it. But yeah, we're here today to talk about kind of just the situations of what we put ourselves through mentally. Before we came on air, we were talking about media addiction and how, we can allow apps like Facebook and Instagram and those kind of things just to change the way we feel, and it's a really strong thing that we were talking about, just the fact that it's not licensed and it's not governed, in the sense that you have people on those kind of platforms that play havoc with our mental health. All it takes is a comment from someone and it will spin us out, and that's what we were discussing before. But I mean, I don't know, what are we discussing today?
No, you know what? I think that the idea was, Headstock is obviously a festival which happens each year, and it's based on well-being and mental health, like a lot of those, which are great and fantastic, because I think, thing that's become apparent, and myself and you've been talking for many weeks now, we lost touch like a lot of friends from back in the day, and we reached out again in middle of lockdown. And for those who don't know, myself and Tony and a few of my other DJ friends have been doing Facebook Lives every morning, just playing some music with people. So what happened was, we discussed, Tony does a recovery podcast on YouTube, talking to various people about their recoveries from addictions or from illnesses, whatever they've been through. I think you can't coin a phrase anymore. But what we were talking about earlier, about the platforms that are used for, well, supposedly it was meant to be business, but now because, and about human needs, and it boils down to basic, for me, this is my understanding of it, it boils down to basic fundamental human needs. One of them being significance and recognition. As a human, we want to be noticed, we want to be recognized, and even if it's even by our parents. If we're not recognized by our parents, or we have this, it starts very on an early age, our mental health starts to build with these doubts in our mind about, who we are, who we're meant to be, blah, 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 blah. And that sort of continues. And tell me, I mean, what's your take on that? Because I
think society tells us that the first thing we need to do is, when we get to a certain age, we need to get a Facebook account. We need to have Instagram. We need, we need to have the new smartest phone, and all of our friends, our social networks are on those platforms. And then all it takes is a fallout with one person to actually ostracize you. We go to these places looking for warmth and to be accepted, and these platforms. But what happens is, these platforms turn against us, in the sense of, we start getting trolled, we start getting this, and the very platform that we turn to because we're lonely, and especially during a time like lockdown, social media became a real must for a lot of people. It was their only access to the outside world. I was going to say the real world, but it's not the real world. We kid ourselves that Facebook is the real world, and by coming, and as I was saying beforehand, I very rarely go on Facebook anymore. Because for me, it's a place of negativity. It's not a place of positivity. And, if whatever, you can just, for me, if I post something positive in a positive manner, it will get 10 likes on Facebook. If I post the same thing on Instagram, it'll probably get 40,000 likes, because that's the difference. Because, with Facebook, that you have a certain number of friends. I have 5,000 friends on Facebook. Friends in inverted commas. I probably know 6 or 7 of them. That's the ones that I want to know. The rest of them are just sitting there, like, I posted a post yesterday on Instagram about you know, people add you on Facebook and they're sitting in white vans like old pervs watching. They don't say anything. They don't comment. They're there to rip you down, you know. And just so, a couple of weeks ago, I did something for Sky News, and I was talking on it quite openly about the situation that we're in with our industry and stuff. And out of the blue, you know, there was some indirect comments aimed at me, but not said. My name wasn't mentioned in them. And of course, straight away, my addict head will tell me, buy into that. I won't read the positive comments. I'll read the negative comments, because that's the way my mind works. And straight away, I buy into it. So what I decided to do was just, instead of reading that stuff, just to block. And when you block those type of people, of course, that upsets them. Then they go on these tirades. You know, so I ended up blocking 1,000 people in like 4 days. Not all those people were being negative, but they were just within those circles. And it was a really freeing thing to do. A really freeing thing to do. And, you know, I just think that in this world right now, for me, I struggle with uncertainty. I have real bad OCD. I suffer with imposter syndrome. So in these uncertain times of, you know, can we do this? Can we do that? Will this be open? Will that not be open? I really struggle. My mental health struggles with that because I like things to be in a place, and I like to know what's going on. Do you get what I mean? Where I'm going to be next week, and if I don't have that security as such, my mind goes all over the place. I don't know about you. Where does your go with it?
But I mean, similarly, I concur with most of what you said. I think the thing about you said was that we are. Look, for me, I've let go of a lot of that. I don't buy into that anymore, because I just think, you know what, there's nothing. And you know, although I'm not in the fellowship, I still use the Serenity Prayer because it works. Because you can say, for those who don't know, the Serenity Prayer is a world-given prayer, and it just, the words are incredible and they're so powerful. Just control what you can, because you know, like, so I was like you. I'm not saying I'm very different now. I'm just saying I've let go a lot of that stuff. So, you know, the bad stuff I don't read. The negative comments I just don't buy into. As you said, I don't read them. I think, you know what, or I reframe it. I change the out. I say, look, you know, that's not my stuff. That's someone else trying to get recognition, get the significance. Because the thing that's, I think, profound here is that before all this stuff came along, we were interactive in our community, i.e. we went out, we saw each other, we spoke, we had a laugh in our environment with each other. We didn't speak through, you know, computers or phones or...
No, of course not. You know,
interacting. And that's the thing that I think now managing... I'm very grateful that we've got tools to manage mental health, although you need to manage it. It's not going to just be fine all the time. It don't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. It's never going to be, you know, it's just fine. That's bollocks.
For me, I work a 12-step program. I'm very public about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm coming up to 14 years clean and sober. And, you know, I sponsor a lot of people, and I do a lot of public stuff regarding and around being sober and being clean free from addiction. But, you know, just because I'm free from addiction doesn't mean I don't struggle with everything else. Life on life's terms is really hard, you know.
Of course it is.
I spend the majority of my day working one-to-one with people, taking me, sponsoring kids, doing whatever I do.
Yeah.
But you know what? Sometimes I give too much away that I don't have enough for Tony. And when I'm not left with enough for Tony, the simplest things like a silly comment on Facebook or the leaves from next door's garden's tree coming down in my garden. But like, you know, and I look out the window and the mess, I can't control those leaves because my garden has to be in a certain way. That will that will unbalance me. And all hell breaks loose. I can't suddenly feel that I can't cope over the simplest things about leaves, you know, or just my partner will come back from a trip and the house has been spotless for a week and suddenly his shoes are everywhere and his shirt, you know, and that plays havoc with my mind. And that's all down because I'm not taking self-care. I'm too busy doing everybody else's self-care for them. So I'm farming out all of my time on other people, and then I'm not leaving enough for my own well-being. And I think the way things are at the moment with what's going on in the world, are we going into lockdown? Are we not going into lockdown? Is this shutting, that shutting, curfews? We can't work, blah, 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 blah. I think it's a really important time to find that time for self-care.
Absolutely.
Really is. And it's a simple thing. I can sit and tell someone exactly how to find self-care, but when it comes to me to find that self-care, it's a difficult one. Yeah. And I've only just started, I recently just changed my diet. I'm on a keto diet, and I've lost 8 kilos in weight, and I'm now training. And just from getting out of bed in the morning and going to Battersea Park and training, has changed my life. Yeah, because I've changed that thought process.
Absolutely.
I'm started that that getting out of bed and doing something by going to the park and exercising is self-care.
Of course it is.
And it's simple little things like that, by just simple little changes, kind of level that unbalance again and kind of balance me. So
when I was talking about Happy Days, my project on, started on Facebook, which now become a charity and that. But the idea of Happy Days was that, as you just said, by changing something very small every day, over time, you change the habit, you change a thought process about that habit, because not only are you reinforcing yourself with an affirmation that I'm doing something, i.e. I'm achieving a goal by changing this every day, but you'll resonate, your level of likability for yourself will change. Yeah. You are achieving something each day. So over the 6 months, you resonate at a different level. And the bit you said about getting wound up by the neighbours' leaves, I often do this, and I know where it comes from. It's ego. It's my little child going, "Oh, don't get in my own way. I'm entitled to be treated a different way. I don't really." And you have to just sit down and go, "All right, I get it. Let's have a look why that wasn't then." And then it calms down, and you think from the ego and go, "Yeah." It's like, it's all those errors of thinking which are.
At the end of the day, it's a bloody tree. It's going to shed. It's autumn. Do you know what I mean? I've lived in this house for 8 years. I know for the last 8 years, I've gone through the same drama. So I know it's coming. But yet, as soon as I see leaves on the dining room table in the garden, because we have a dining room table in the garden, as soon as I see leaves on it, straight away, instead of just thinking, okay, you know what? Go and buy a leaf blower. No. I will persecute myself, because it's a really easy way of bashing myself up. So, I know that tree's about to shed. It's an ash. It has those awful little leaves. And I know it's about to come down. And instead of just getting up in the morning and going out and sweeping it, oh, no. I'll go to the back door, and I can't cope. Listen, and it's just really simple things about change. Instead of going out there every day sweeping it up like any normal person, and that's because I have uncommon sense. I don't have common sense. Common sense would be get a broom, get a leaf blower, 2 minutes every morning, done. Oh no. My uncommon sense will be leave it, just stare it out the window, allow it to completely dominate your life and destroy your day.
You said this the other week though. And it's so true. It's about the drama, and you'll get drama anywhere you want to go. So it's not. I've got a tree here, right, in my garden, the size of Jack and the Beanstalk, right? It's fucking massive. And then every year I've had it chopped because it was too big, and it's grown back. The leaves it takes 15 to 20 black bags of leaves to get rid of it. Yeah. But every year I look out and go, it's fucking leaves again. I'm going, well, it's a tree. It's going to have leaves. And and guess what I've got sitting in the corner? A leaf blower.
I'll have to borrow it then, wouldn't I? It's just like, my head can I can wake up in a really amazing space, and within 5 minutes, my head was ruin my day for me because I allow it to. And it's about noticing those things with mental health. And about, as I said before, it's about the little changes that we put into place that make the big changes.
Absolutely.
And, but I'm really bad because some days I can preach and preach. Yeah. And then the practice part comes into play for myself, and I'm too exhausted by it because I'm so over preached that I can't put those implements into place. It's crazy, and I always can just tell what level I am within my own mental space and mental health by my actions of what I'm doing and how I've treated other people and how I, and finally, which is the most important one, it's about how I'm treating myself, because that's what it all boils down to. Do you get what I mean?
Totally. I mean, what you just said was that thing about, I mean, let's talk, I mean, for the people, let's talk about some of the routines that you were just saying about the gym and stuff, which is very important. I mean, the gym's been open. I was spinning every day last week, and you come out, you feel different. The thing I've done, the thing I never do now, I never look at social media when I wake up. I never pick my phone up when I wake up.
Amazing.
I just don't. And I give it, if you look, the world's not going to change that much in 10 minutes without you picking that bloody thing up. Because what you do, you'll go on, you'll look at social media, there'll be something you don't like, or something horrible, or something, something about animals, which the planet's dying, or something about all the stuff that makes you feel bad. And I've worked out, look, I know people have seen the social dilemma and probably thought, oh my God. And I think, the tech companies are going to realize that we're wising up. But what I realize is that, and Russell talks very well about this consumerism and marketing, right? Ultimately, and then think about this, Tone, if we wake up and we are, let's say, happy, just happy, we're always happy, right? You don't need nothing, anything. You won't need anything. You don't need clothes, or you need something to wear. You won't need to go, we won't need this consumerism, right? But say they don't want us like that, do they? So they will entice our stressors, our fear, our anxiety, and leave, and not by masses, unless you buy into it, like we quite well easily can. But if you don't, you'll still have a little bit of stress, or something will come along, especially in these unknown times, uncertainty. Amazon's gone through the roof because everyone goes, what's the easiest quick fix? If they don't take drugs and they don't drink, shopping.
Yeah, of course.
Next one, isn't it? If it's not social media where they're advertising where to get stuff.
I think also the other side, there are pros to social media. There are pros. Because, for me, I spend my lifetime posting stupid things on Instagram to make people laugh.
It's brilliant.
Do you get what I mean? But and a lot of people, that's how they know me. They don't even know I'm bloody DJ. They think that I'm just called DJ Fat Tony that posts stupid memes. But you know what? Those memes that I post are not just random stuff. There's a thought process that goes to a majority of it. I store things, and especially around mental health awareness, and especially around World Suicide Day and stuff like that. I post stuff like that. But I think it's really important to laugh at what we do. I mean, I can sit and have this conversation with you about the bloody leaves in the garden. Yeah. That will destroy me one day. But at the same time, I can laugh about it because of the insanity in it. And when we laugh about it, it takes the power out of it. So social media has a really good, on some levels, it's really good for that. But on other levels, if we allow ourselves to buy into the drama, which I love, I'm addicted to drama, always have been, always will be. That can just upset the cart. And I just think that, I look at my weekly reports on my phone. It tells me how much screen time I've had.
So do I.
Oh my God, man. Some weeks it was like 18, like literally 18 hours a day. Like it was like during lockdown, 18 hours a day.
I know.
When was I sleeping?
I listen to this, right?
When was I sleeping? That was insane. I've got it down to about 2.5 hours a day now, which is still an awful lot. But you know what? It's progress.
I get what you're saying. Listen to this, right? Social media in lockdown was the most wonderful tool we could have had. We had the Zoom meetings, we had it in contact. Everything was posted, was beautiful, lovely, about supporting each other, the NHS, people getting in touch. NA support groups online, mental health support groups online. Everything was about Joe Wicks doing workouts in the morning, all this lovely stuff. And as soon have you noticed that everyone's going, do you know what? We've needed the downtime. It's been nice to just relax and not be stressed out by bloody world. And all of a sudden, as soon as there's an opportunity to start winding us up again, in it comes. And we was all going, I hope it stays like this. Everyone's loving each other. We're supporting each other. Let's just hope it stays like this. And it's how quick did it start getting out of hand again?
Well, it's you could have been talking about 1988, 1989 there with like the introduction of acid house and ecstasy.
It was like that, wasn't it?
It was like everyone loved each other for 3 months, and suddenly another drug came in and ruined it. And social media is a drug. Everything that we do, we use like a drug. And you know what? When people like ourselves, you know, it all boils back down to self-loving and all of it is about what we can do for ourselves today. So by putting down the phone for a couple of hours and going for a walk to the park, by walking your dog, by actually sitting and having a conversation with the ones you love, is so important. Absolutely. And it's, we take everything for granted because we're too busy looking at what we haven't got. And when we start looking at what we have got instead of what we haven't got, we're on a win-win situation.
Because, when you start looking at what you've got and what you haven't got, because this is the whole thing. If you don't compare yourself, because look, it was always like keeping up with the Joneses. That was the old what we're doing now. Keeping up with the Joneses. Just so happens the Joneses now are in your hand. They're not the people down the end of the street. So you don't actually have to walk past their house and say, oh, they got a Jaguar, I want one of them. You actually got it in your hand, and you compare yourself every day. If you put that away, what that does is you say, what I have is gratitude. And it's a feeling. You feel grateful. You think, you know what? I'm happy with what I've got. I'm happy with my lot. I'm happy with my family, my friends. I think, so...
Yeah, I think also, if you start talking about happy things and about what you've got, your algorithms on your phone will totally change.
Oh, yeah,
suddenly, it's like if you spend 2 hours a day talking about boiled ham, your phone will show you boiled ham adverts. So if you start talking about things that you've already got, those algorithms won't pop up because you've already got it. You got what I mean? You haven't got someone listening on your device trying to tell you what you need to buy. Because you can't buy happiness.
You know what's happening? Here's the thing, right? What you just mentioned about the algorithms, right? So my site, Happy Days for Everyone, right, was like, we posted lovely stuff every day. We got a nice community was developing. It's been growing and growing. And the girls have been posting stuff every day. And all of a sudden, it stopped. They cut the posts. All of a sudden, the algorithms have changed. Why? Because we're not paying for Facebook ads. We're creating a community for happy days, happy people, just sharing like love and stuff. And they stop it. Like they stopped the feeds last week. The video feeds, which were making people happy, they stopped it.
Well, money comes from misery, doesn't it? We know that. The majority of things that they're trying to sell you through algorithms on phones and on your laptop it comes from a place of misery because it's trying to sell you something to change the way you feel. And if you're in a content state and you're happy and you're doing like waking up doing meditation for an hour every morning and you're getting yourself into that zone where you are enough, whatever they're trying to sell you, that doesn't work. Do you know what I mean?
It's going mad. And here's a bad thing for you, right? Do you remember you just said about 18 hours on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Take yourself back to 1986 or 85 when you maybe had a normal job or something. We did work.
I've never had a normal job.
I've had one normal job or two. Anyway, I would job with allocated hours, right? Let's say. So your job goes from 9 to 5 and you go to your boss, sorry, but I've been on my phone 18 hours today. What? How'd you fit that in? Well, and you had 2 tea breaks and a lunch break. There's 6 hours of your day gone.
It's insane.
How does that work? Mental. I thought 7 hours was a lot. I was going to try and say,
but just what that's doing to your brain alone is like, I wonder why I suffer with migraines. I wonder why my vision is blurred and my eyesight's so bad. It's because I'm spending so much time scrutinizing a screen in my hand.
And it's small. It's not like a
big totally. And you know what? My eyesight is, I'd like to say I don't need to wear glasses. I have to wear reading glasses and I never wear them because my vanity doesn't allow me to do it. And when I do put it on, my world changes really quickly. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? But spending even like 6 hours a day squinting at a screen plays havoc with my brain. And, it doesn't give me time to switch down and go to sleep. So a lot of people who suffer with sleep deprivation or insomnia, you will find that they spend, but the last thing they do before they go to bed is look at their phone.
Yeah.
So if you switch that phone off 2 hours before you go to bed, and this is scientifically proven, you will have a better night's sleep. Yeah. If you go to bed with the television on and you're watching television in bed or your laptop, you will have a worse night's sleep because your brain is still triggering. Takes time to wind down. It's digitally switched on. So, by switching off your phone 2 hours before you go to bed or switching off your laptop or not having it on, you'll get a better night's sleep. And I, you know, I've had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I can wake up still at nearly 14 years sober. I can wake up feeling like I've got a hangover, and that's from watching my screen all day.
Absolutely.
That's how strong that addiction can be, and how it changes. And then my mind won't function properly all day. I will be agitated. I will be in a bad mood because I'm tired. And what's happening is I'm burning my mind out, and my brain's being burnt out physically and mentally because I can't focus. And the more I try to focus on things, the more it gives me more of a headache. And that's all because I don't know when to switch off the phone or switch off my laptop.
Right, here's the thing. We've got a couple of minutes. I'm going to suggest something. That this is what I do, and I do it fairly religiously. I allow, not all the time because I'm human, so we do allow for mistakes, let's say. But generally what I do is, if you're all going to do a list, do your list at night before you go to sleep. Make sure it's there for the morning. Turn your phone off, as Tony says, 2 hours before you go to bed. If you've got an alarm on your phone, turn the airplane mode off so it don't ring and notify you. If it's not an alarm, as Simon Sinek said, if you listen to him, he's a fantastic speaker, get an alarm clock. Simple as that.
Totally.
Try to wind down. I do these 5 questions, and I do them most mornings again, and exercise is paramount now. But I do these 5 questions in the morning. It comes from a Smart Recovery manual. The first question is ask yourself, as Tony said, give yourself 10 minutes before you jump into your day. Ask yourself how you're feeling mentally, how you're feeling physically, how you're feeling spiritually, and whether you understand spiritually means how your soul is, how you're feeling emotionally. Give yourself those 5 questions, see and sit down with it for 5 minutes and see how you're feeling. Then it's like a meditation, but it gives you something to focus on. So that's a routine where I do, and it gives me a better start to the day. So,
it's like self-affirmation in itself. It's like, it's about finding a happy place inside your house that you can sit and just look out the window or look at something that takes you to a place of self, into that place of like complete self-calm, self-loving area. I've got therapists that I go to for trauma, from childhood trauma, and she always refers to it as my safe place. I don't like the name safe place because it always triggers something else, but for me it's a happy place. And I go to that place in my mind when I'm really, really strung out or I'm really, really stressed. I've learned coping mechanisms that take me to that happy place. And that happy place is a place of calm and tranquility. And it really works. And I just think in the mornings, don't be grabbing your phone. Don't be looking straight onto Instagram, because I have hypocrite written on one hand for a reason, because that's what I always do. And then that starts my day off in a really bad way, because I am forever chasing that all day long. Then if you start in a place of calm and a place of tranquility, it will set your day up in a better place, and especially for your mind. Right. It's all about mindset.
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do for you. I'd be accountable. I know it's technology, but if I wake up, I don't really want to pick my phone up. I'll send you a text message, an old school text message saying, don't fucking look at Instagram when you wake up.
Totally. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I'd love to say that I will stick to it, but you know what? The thing about this is it's a learning curve. It's about, if I was to say I'm going to do that from now on, it's a total lie. But what happens is, even if I do it 1 or 2 days a week, that's success.
You're starting the process.
That's success.
Absolutely.
And you know what? 1 or 2 days will lead to 3 or 4 days. Because if I'm getting something really rewarding from it, and I'm getting a sense of calmness that changes the way I feel, I will want more of it. And it's as simple as that.
That's it. And I read something the other day, exactly what you just said about the brain. The brain likes routine, but it also likes pleasure. Don't aim for pain. So our pleasure, although years ago would have been, in substances or whatever, our pleasure now, because it's hard to find in a happy place, it's brilliant to be able to get to it. Because I know that if you go to a therapist and if you're not practiced in that, and they say go to a happy place, it takes you 20 minutes to get there for meditation.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So I think the fact that what you just said is correct. And if there's a takeaway today with everyone, I think what Tony was saying, it's about being in the present moment. And if you catch yourself running away with bad thinking, running away and thinking, worrying about the future, the uncertainty, just tell yourself, let's get back in this moment. Just say to yourself, shut your eyes and go, I'm here. do that.
I think also what also helps, Brandon, with this thing is if you are in that place and you're in that kind of head, go and get a pen and paper.
Right.
And write down a pros and cons list of where you're at today. Look at all the things that you have in your life, like the love of, unconditional love from a dog, a partner, a house, a space to sit in, a roof over your head. And don't look at all the things that you don't have. Debt, blah, blah. Just going into all those things. It's about breaking it down. And it's just the power of the brain to the end of the pen is such a mighty thing. Of writing it down. Don't sit there and write on a computer and tap it out because that means nothing. It's about writing it and do that on a daily basis. Also, a gratitude list at the end of the day, right? 5 things that you're grateful for.
Yeah.
5 things that you were grateful for today. The way you treated other people, the way other people treated you, what you did for yourself. Grateful for someone at work telling you how pretty you look or how nice you are, or just all those simple things about how you can change. And write that list every day. And you know what? That will change the way you feel about yourself. Trust me.
Well, by writing, you're creating a neural pathway. And while you're
100%.
While you're writing the gratitude, you're grateful. Your brain's taking, your subconscious taking in that command. And slowly over time, which is what we've been doing for the last God knows how many years. We've been rewiring our minds for all the negative stuff we took in.
Yeah.
We didn't like ourselves very much. So everything we took in, whether it was,
I hated myself for years.
Whether it was fun or not, we would take it a negative way because we've come out the other side and gone, right, well, I still don't like what I did to myself in the past. And I did with it. So you'll always do that. But, we're in a different place where you can say, you know what, I'm here today. I wouldn't have been. And I think that's for me, that's my first gratitude every day is the fact that I'm here. And if I'd gone a different way 24 years ago, I definitely would have been.
100%. And I'm going to go and buy a chainsaw this afternoon for that tree.
I might be slightly less violent and go buy a hedge trimmer and just take the leaves off.
No, it's always got the extremes. Always.
Do a bit of origami on it or something, sculpture.
No,
I think we've gone over time, Tone, but I love you, mate. It's always lovely talking.
God bless, guys. Listen, have a really good day, all right? Be kind to yourselves. Remember, it's all about self-love.
And also, I must say this, I know Headstock are very good at this stuff, but if you do feel out of sorts, anyone, at any time, don't feel afraid to shout out about it. Talk to someone, find someone on the internet, whoever, your friends, just reach out because you'd be surprised how many people are feeling similar. I say this all the time as well and everything. I have an Instagram account that you can always DM me. If you've got a problem or you're struggling, just DM me. I'll get straight back to you. I get back to everyone. And the same thing with me where I don't use Instagram offer, but you can use me on Facebook Messenger. You can message me if you need any help or guidance in any way. If anything that we've said today means something to you, get in touch. Tone,
God bless.
See you next week. God bless you. Lovely to see you.
See you later, guys. Have a great day.